Alright guys, so SP Kunimi should be the next character coming up. So as per usual, let's take a look at his kit and I'm going to talk about my thoughts on whether or not he is worth summoning for. So his skill 1 increases his own power attack and that will be further increased when his stamina is below 80. Now he can quite reliably get his stamina to below 80 because at the end of each rally, he would actually reduce his own cap. This condition is only going to be triggered with more than 80, so obviously it wouldn't be reducing his cap indefinitely. Once it reaches 80, then this effect wouldn't take place anymore. But because his cap will eventually be at just 80 after 4 rallies, this is almost going to be permanently on afterwards, okay? Now, when you do this, so basically when you actually reduce your stamina cap for the first 4 rallies, you would also be able to recover your own stamina at the same time. Now, then the second half of the skill 1 says that for every 10 stamina your players lose, you're actually going to get 1 stack of this. Each one's going to be 7%, up to 30 stacks. So in theory, you can get 210 awareness, which might feel like it's overflowing, overkill by quite a bit, but that's okay because later on it does say that for every awareness greater than 100, it would actually be converted into strength instead, okay? So, with this, if you just take a look at this, it says for every 10 stamina you lose, you will be able to get this. So you might be thinking, if I play someone like SP Sugawaru, I will be able to stack up this really, really fast. Unfortunately, that's not really the case because they actually cap at just 10 stacks per rally. And normally in a normal rally, I would say it's very easy to lose at least 10 stamina on each one of your character already. So bare minimum for each rally, you should already be getting 6 stacks. If you actually play SP Sugaru, you just bump that 6 stack to 10 stack. So yeah, you accelerated by 4 stacks, but to me, that's not really a game changer. So I can see there's a tiny bit of synergy between Kunimi and also SP Sugaru, but they're definitely not bundled up together. You don't have to play them together, okay? Now, skill 2, very straightforward, just a receive, and when he does actually end up receiving, you'll be increasing your team's base attack. It's nice, but normally you wouldn't be building him with receive, so you probably wouldn't actually trigger this much. Then skill 3, whenever he recovers stamina, he will be increasing your power attack stats. To be honest, in his own kit, there's only going to be 4 times when he's actually able to recover his stamina, if just at skill resistance 1. At high skill resistance, this can trigger a lot more. But yeah, at base level, this is only going to happen 4 times. Once again, you can play the likes of Sugaru, etc. to boost this by another 4 times, but in all honesty, each time when it happens, it's just 0.8%, so it's not a game changer either. Then the next one is that at the start of the rally, when this is 80 points or less, which remember, because his skill 1 effect, this will be guaranteed to happen from the 4th rally onwards, well, after the first 4 rallies. Then what's going to happen is that he will enter this decisive moment. Now, in this decisive moment, what's going to happen is that his ultimate, so this one called Burning Spirit, this ultimate cooldown will reduce to 6 necrosis. Originally, it would have been 8 necrosis, so a small reduction there. And then also, whenever your awareness more than 100, you can then convert extra ones onto strength, which is once again, that's kind of why you can go all the way up to 210 due to his skill 1 hit. So eventually, you'll be able to get a lot of strength buff inside his kit, and then also when you first enter it, you can actually reset the cooldown, so you can spam this to some effect. Okay. Now skill 4, this is his ultimate attack. This one does actually cost 8 stamina to use, so something to bear in mind. If you do not have him as skill resistance 2, which I'll talk about in a bit, you do actually need a way to consistently restore his own stamina, okay? Now when you do actually do this, however, the spy power is really high. This is 295, it's actually really high as a base. If you actually take a look at the one for SP, Fujima, etc., normally characters are only around the 260 mark, so this base is obviously very high, and that's due to the fact that you will be consuming 8 stamina. And furthermore, if his own stamina is actually more than 50, you can further increase the skill multiplier for this even further by another 50%. So this is actually going to be very strong as well. Now let's move on to his resonance. This is where it becomes a game changer, okay? So for skill resonance 2, what's going to happen is that this effect, which says recover stamina, when he recovers stamina, now it's actually going to be changed to your whole team recover stamina. But once again, the buff is pretty small, so I personally don't think it makes that much difference anyway. But then the other thing is that when you use a spike ultimate, your size players would actually recover stamina, and also the one with the lowest stamina can further increase more, which is already very nice because you can see he already have lots of ways of using up stamina, and also if you can actually recover your whole team's stamina, this also actually makes sure you can definitely trigger this to all the way to cap it to 16%. And then the most game-breaking one is actually the last part of the skill too, which is that even when he's actually on the bench at the end of each rally, your sword will be recovering 8 stamina, and that stamina recovery is actually going to be even more than the ones you can actually get when you actually play him. And what that basically means is that there's massive utility or tactical value of getting Kunimi to skill resin 2, but simply have him on the bench, because initially just having him on the bench can already make sure you never really run out of stamina in the entire match. Okay, so this is a massive game changer, and that's kind of why Kunimi is valued very, very highly and almost considered a must have once he's at skill resin 2 because of this bench effect. Okay. Now, lastly, skill resistance 4. When he's actually in the formation, I'm pretty sure this also included on the bench rather than saying he's actually on the court, because normally when it says on the court, it would actually say on the court. Whereas this one just says in the formation. So I believe this would also work when you are on the bench. You're also able to increase your base stats by 5% for your entire team. This is also very strong, especially if you're already going to try to use the skill resistance 2 effect of having him on the bench just to recover stamina. You are now just going to get a free 5% buff for your entire team across everything. So this is also massive. And then when he's actually on the court itself, when the match starts, you'll be reducing your max stamina to 80 points. Now this is very nice because I did mention earlier, in order for this to get down to 80 points stamina, it actually takes 4 rally. However, with this, what that basically means is that you can immediately reduce your stamina and basically activate all of the other effects in the rest of his kit. And also this way you can also further increase your own strength, and also at the end of each round you'll be recovering your own stamina as well, which is very useful, because remember, if you can actually enter the state straight away because you are less than 80 stamina, what that basically means is your cooldown for your ultimate is going to be shorter. You'll be using your ult a lot quicker. Each time you use your ult, it's going to be 8 stamina. However, now it doesn't really matter, because at the end of each round you'll also recover 15 stamina as well. Okay, so this is why it's really, really nice, and it almost also ensures that you would never really run into an issue with the last part of his ult, which says basically you have to be greater than 50 stamina in order to get this extra buff, because now whenever it's less than 40 points, you would just additionally recover another 15 stamina as well. Okay, so this is also going to be a massive game changer if you do actually play Kunimi in the match itself rather than on the bench. Now let's take a look at his memory. Now this is actually the best memory for opposite hitter if you are playing a power spiker for that position. The reason is it's able to buff up power attack technique and also strength, provided you meet those conditions. And what that basically means is that in the damage formula, because there are 3 different stats, you'll be multiplying them all together, which tend to be a much bigger number than if all of those buffs are only across one single stat. Okay, and like I said, this is the best one for power spiking opposite hitter. So in the future, if you do actually plan to get SP Yujima, SP Kunimi's memory is actually going to be the best one for him as well. Okay, so with all that being said, should you actually summon for SP Kunimi? Personally speaking, as skill resistance 1, I actually found Kunimi to be fairly average. The reason is for the first 4 rallies, he wouldn't have actually warmed up enough, so he wouldn't have that awareness or strength buff, and also he wouldn't have enough power attacking buff, etc. So he has fairly average numbers. From the 4th rally onwards, or from the 5th rally onwards actually, you would actually be able to trigger all of those conditions. Your awareness should be more or less buffed up, so you get extra strength as well, and your multiplier is going to be very high, and then he would actually hit extremely, extremely hard. But then the problem from the 5th rally onwards is that it actually consumes stamina for you to do each of the spike. And from the 5th rally onward, you have no built-in way of actually restoring your own stamina either. So the only way for you to actually make him still hit hard from the 5th rally onwards is that you actually need to find an alternative way to give him stamina, such as bringing in SSR Kita. But overall, from team building point of view, bringing in an SSR character generally means you are losing power against other teams which are full of UR SP character. So that's kind of why overall I feel like Kunimi is a bit awkward, in the sense that for the first 4 rallies he doesn't hit that hard, and then from the 5th rally onwards he does hit hard, but he can't really sustain that due to the stamina usage. However, at skill rank 2, this is going to be completely changed because now he gets this amazing, one of the best ability in the game, which is buffing up stamina from the bench, and that makes him incredibly useful and long lasting in the future because he can pretty much always have a place, even if it's just from the bench. So my personal recommendation is that if you actually have a way of fitting Kunimi in on your team right now, then you can definitely summon for him, and then in the future eventually get him to skill rank 2 and just have him on the bench. However, if you don't really see a way of putting Kunimi already onto your team, or let's say right now you only have a team of SSR characters, and therefore if you do actually put in Kunimi and it doesn't quite work with your speciality for whatever reason, and he would only be going onto your bench, then I personally wouldn't recommend that because it's normally going to be better for you to focus on your first team character first before then working on the bench buffers. Okay, so that's going to be my own personal recommendation on whether or not you want to summon for him. Let me know what you guys think, and also do you want to pull for him?